Hello everyone, this is Annissa. Before we begin our episode discussing fatphobia, I wanted to issue a trigger warning for topics of suicidal ideation, self-harm, and eating disorders. If you cannot handle these subjects or they make you deeply uncomfortable, please take this warning, assess what you need to take care of yourself, and if that means not listening to this one, we will see you in the next one. Thank you so much, and let's go ahead and get into the episode.
Hey y'all, you're listening to Word on the Street, an OML and RRC podcast.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Word on the Street. This is Annissa speaking, she, her pronouns. I am your lovely, gracious host for a majority of episodes, but not all of them. And today we are here to discuss, the episode title is actually, Let's Talk About Fatphobia, because that's why we're all here and why we feel this is a really important topic to discuss. But before we actually get into the topic, I want to go ahead and let our lovely guests go ahead and announce themselves and introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a fellow fat person. And I would like to say thank you for letting me be here today.
Hi, my name's Kiara. I use she, they, or they, she pronouns. But yeah, I'm just glad to be here.
And hi, my name is Shray. I use he, him pronouns, also one of the student inclusion educators. And look, everyone, I'm excited to be here and talk about this.
All right, thank you all for joining me today. And also, as another person who identifies as fat, I am a fat woman. I have a very personal connection to this topic that we're going to be talking about. And throughout the session, we're going to be answering some of the questions that come to our own head, as well as in introducing some personal experiences that we have gone through or have witnessed, as well as starting off with defining what fatphobia is. So going back to an article that I had found by Tara J. Stewart. So in Femme magazine, Mehul Amuzada defines fatphobia as the fear or hatred of fat bodies. This concept can include fear of being or becoming fat, or fear/hatred/resentment of fat people. Fatphobia is a function of persuasive and broad thin-centric culture that places types of physical bodies in hierarchical terms, with fat being one of the worst kind of bodies a person can have. Like most forms of oppression, manifest in destructive ways that go beyond individual attitudes and beliefs. Fatphobia has wide-reaching systemic and structural implications for fat people that negatively affect mental health, physical health, career opportunities, and overall well-being. Based on that introduction or that definition, does anybody have any thoughts, feelings, or anything like that that may arise from me sharing this part of this article?
I was just gonna say that that sounds about right to me. I think that people tend to like play on the word phobia and say like, "Oh, I'm not scared of fat people," but I'm like, you don't like them though, so it seems like a pretty accurate definition to me.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Yeah, it's similar to like with homophobia, for example, or transphobia. I don't think that it's phobia, obviously meaning fear of. I don't think it's a fear of necessarily. It's just it is a hatred or dislike or like in that way. So you're not. I think the only like critique I have for this is fear of fat people, whereas this could also translate into fear of becoming fat, which is, I think, a better way to describe that if you're going to use fear. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff in this article. This article had a lot of personal stories, specifically from college students on campus, entering and being a fat body on campus. The article goes on to have another quote that I thought would be good for the introduction. Through television, movies, music, and popular culture, fat people receive messages about fatness and fat bodies as pathology, as something to be fixed, as something to be erased. Fat people are told that fatness is antithetical to living and being healthy. Fat people are told to diet, given suggestions to have surgery, and offered recommendations for extreme exercise, which tell us that we can and should rid ourselves of our very selves. We are told that there is an ideal physical form, and fatter bodies are not the ideal. As someone who has to navigate an oppressive system at multiple social identity levels, fatphobia still seems to be an acceptable form of bias, including on our college campuses. All right, any thoughts, reactions, or anything that you would like to delve into? From here, we can have whatever conversation we would like to have. Anything that comes up for you, please just unmute yourself and speak to it.
Yeah, so I don't know. Growing up, I was fat growing up. I've been fat all my life. But like it's astounding to see how this message of like fat phobia, anti-fatness is really perpetuated in our society. Like at age 8, I was having doctors telling me that, oh, you're overweight. Like I wasn't overweight. I was just really tall for my age. And the BMI recommends that if you're like 5'6", you need to be 86 pounds or like 75 pounds at like age 8, which is crazy. But like it's just these systems of oppression that we have cornered towards fat people. Like I remember just growing up and being scared to go to the doctor. I remember being scared to like go to amusement parks because my friends would be able to fit on rides and I wouldn't. My mom telling me like, oh, we need to go to Weight Watchers this weekend and pulling me. Like an 8-year-old should not be going to Weight Watchers every weekend. Like this message of anti-fatness is like so impactful, especially on young children, and then having them grow up, and especially like on college campuses where like even here, you know, like everyone's very thin, very white, very blonde, you know, they're all like they look like models. And you know, coming in as a fat person, I could not have felt more isolated in my life. Like this first year transition was extremely rough for me, and then going straight into the pandemic and then coming back, like I had a lot of work that I had to do for myself in order to become confident in who I am and what I wanted to be. But like this message of fat phobia is just so harmful, and it's yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, I can totally relate to your experience, Kiara. I also had doctors telling me at a young age, like, you need to lose weight. And it was a little weird because in my experience, like again, I grew taller really quickly. And I think there was like a hormonal imbalance there as a result. Um, but it was interesting to see the way people interacted with me, especially doctors felt comfortable telling me that I was overweight and that I would like be at risk for all these things. And I had no control over it. Like I was gaining 15, 20 pounds every single year as a child because like I was developing, I was getting bigger, I was getting taller, etc. And I was constantly being told every single time I went to the doctor, like, you need to lose weight, you need to lose weight. And I was like, I don't know what else to do. I'm not eating anything outside of what I've been eating with everyone else. And it was very bizarre to see how even though I would be eating the exact same thing somebody else was eating, they would feel comfortable telling me, hey, you shouldn't be eating that. And I'm like, you feel entitled to be able to comment on my body simply because I exist and it doesn't look like yours. And that's not fair in any capacity. And transitioning to campus was also really hard, especially because there is a large toxic gym culture here. I was really surprised by that at Santa Clara University. I was just not surprised that it was here, but like I just didn't expect that. I think because of COVID as well, people had the anticipation that they were either going to get extremely fit or get extremely fat. And I'm like, okay. And like one of them was clearly a negative option in the eyes of people. So it was only get extremely fit and transform yourself over the 2 years of the pandemic. So it was just really interesting to see that dynamic play out. And it definitely was an isolating experience, to say the least.
Yep. I just want, since both of y'all have brought up the doctors and how they, bring up that you were overweight or fat, especially when you were a kid, I do want to get into my like stories I had about just about doctors and what they would say. again, similar things for both me and some people close to me. Um, doctors, every time we go, they'd always somehow mention like, oh, you need to lose some weight, you need to lose some weight, even if it wasn't relevant for the reason I was going. If I was going in, I remember sometimes if I was going in just for like the flu or having a fever, they'd be like, oh, by the way, have you been working on your weight? And I'm like, I literally have the flu. This is why we need to bring this up. We don't need to bring it up right now. It's not relevant. And of course, at other, times when we go, they'd always bring it up and always just shove in our face on this, you need to lose weight or all these horrible things will happen to you. And even like like pediatrician, my doctor would say things of like, it's even going to harm you being able to make friends and all of that. Pretty much saying people will not want to like you, people will not want to find you like a good person, desirable because of your body. And a 9-year-old should not have to hear this. 10-year-old, 8-year-old, you should not be hearing this as a child. Um, See, very, very harmful things they were saying. And yeah, it's just not good. And one story I do want to get into was a story from someone who was close to me, um, and about how they had a diagnosis for ADHD delay because of their weight. I just want to get into that now. So this person, he of course, like me, grew up overweight. And when he was around like 9 or 10, um, actually no, probably a bit older, he was thinking maybe I have ADHD. It looks like a lot of the symptoms or things I'm having align with people he knew who had ADHD. Well, we went to the doctor, like when your parents brought up when he brought up saying, when we all said, oh, we want to see if we wanted to test it, maybe see if he has ADHD. Doctor said, oh, that's probably not likely since he's overweight. He just needs to exercise more, spend more time playing. Then if he expended his energy, he would have issues concentrating. So first of all, like a lot to unpack there, besides the fact that pretty much you were denied care because of your body weight. There's also the thing of ADHD only being, oh, you can't concentrate. It's more than that. Like there's a lot to talk about there. But pretty much what ended up happening was he did not get diagnosed until 10 years later as an adult in college, for ADHD. So 10 years potentially he missed out on getting treatment, on being able to manage, ADHD just because the pediatrician said you can't have it because, oh, you're probably not playing enough or exercising enough. You just need to expend your energy. That's my big one that I'm like, seriously, you said that, and as a healthcare practitioner, that is what you think? And of course, all the harmful things of saying to kids, oh, these things will happen if you're fat, or oh, people are not going to like you. It just, you should not be saying that. Um, oh, and I also have one more story I want to share too on doctors and fat phobia. Was at one point, I put on weight in middle school. Part of it I put on weight, part of it I was growing. My doctor said, "Oh, you should go to a dietitian." To go to a dietitian to see if you can figure out how to eat healthier and whatnot. And when I went, that dietitian was not the most helpful because this is advice coming from a thinner person who's pretty much just said, why are you eating so much? Just eat less food. It's like, if you want me to, how do I do that? Just saying, just eat less food. It's not enough. You need to give me more suggestions. So not helpful there. And also, that dietitian did not give food suggestions for the kind of food I ate at home. She never thought of any Indian food or just any of the food that I would be eating at home. Because it's like you're thinking of the food that a typical American family would eat at home, not what an Indian family, an Indian immigrant family is going to eat at home. And we don't eat the same kinds of foods at home. So a lot of the suggestions are helpful. So yeah, that's just another story about doctors and fat phobia.
Thank you, Shray, for adding that. And I think one of the common things that we're bringing up, because there's a lot of topics that we just delved into, and I'm sure we'll bring up again and later throughout the conversation. But one of the central themes that I'm noticing in our conversation right now is the act of fatphobic ideals and fatphobic ideologies intercepting us at youth. We are all people that grew up overweight or and it's completely up to everybody. I identify as fat. I openly am just like, yes, I am fat. I have always been since I'm pretty sure I came out just a little chubby baby, and then just it stayed, and then it just kept growing. So a couple of things that everyone that brought up conversation with, whether it was in medicine or other people, I have always been the biggest of my 4 siblings. I was also always in sports, and so I was and I was also a very got sick a lot as a kid. Not to do with my weight, but because I had valley fever at 9 years old, which is typical in the Central Valley of California. But it affected my immune system. But every time that I went to a doctor, it was that fear of knowing that they were going to check my weight and they were going to measure me against BMI. And whereas y'all were taller, and so you had more mass, I was 5'2". I'm currently 5'2". I have always also been short. So I was short, stout, just round belly, always looked like that. And every time that I would go into a doctor, getting told like, oh, here's what you should do. They're like, it's good you're in sports, you're exercising. But even at that time, I was not losing weight. And they're like, how active are you? You should be getting out more, how you could do this. I was in sports year round. I played soccer, I played softball, I played water polo in high school, which was a whole other thing because being fat and being in a swimsuit was difficult in itself in high school. But something else that I wanted to touch on based on BMI is that I can recall in middle school. Also, I should note that I am 25. I'm a grad student in the program, so I'm a little bit older than y'all. But at the time when I was in 7th and 8th grade for PE in middle school, we had a PE teacher who would line us all up for like, the like state testing of like presidential state testing for running and things like that and physical education, and was always the worst week of my life. Even though I was very athletic as a kid, because like I said, I played a lot of sports. It was the worst time because I am a slow runner. I don't move as quickly as people. And where was I going with that? Oh, getting back to BMI and being weighed on campus. My teacher would line us all up and we'd get on a scale, and then she would shout the number for everyone to hear and say whether or not we were overweight. So I would hear, Crow, you're at blah, 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 you're obese. And then we would all turn around, and maybe the worst time of your point, because you're going through puberty, you're going through a lot of things. You already are attacking yourself internally. And then to know that every single other person just heard that the teacher told you you're obese, you're this. And like, of course, that's fatphobic thinking because it was negative to be seen in that way. But it was horrifying every single time. Same thing with that PE teacher. I've noted I was athletic. I did a lot of sports. I tried out for a lot of school because I played sports like outside. I like did like AYSO soccer, however that acronym is. So I wasn't doing sports at school in middle school, but I would try out for sports in middle school. And every single time I would not get picked. And it was always that same PE coach who was running it. And I remember at the time I was like all-star soccer. I was like an all-star goalie. So like I was being picked to go play for the all-star team in the county. And she told a friend of mine that, because I didn't get on the soccer team at school, she was like, well, Annissa is scared of the ball. Annissa she doesn't run as fast. She doesn't do this. She's like just some bull reasons. But when you look down at it, it's all because I was fat. It was either because I was fat or because I'm Latina, and she was heavily racist. But yeah, so like all those like conversations, and then like also having parents who, and I love my parents and they did the best that they could with what they had, but there was also fatphobic mindsets in the way that they used punishment. Because I couldn't help but notice that every time that I got in trouble for something, I was doing wall sits. I was running the mile. It was very like exercise, let's make you thinner, or we're gonna put you on a special diet. We're gonna do Special K and like what's the other one? The like Nutri drinks. Slim Fast. Slim Fast for breakfast. But it was just all these different parts that added up, including like certain members of my family who, when Christmas or like birthdays would roll around, would ask me my sizes for things and purposely get me 3 sizes smaller and then tell me that that could be a goal outfit. So when I would say, oh, I'm an XL or a double XL, they would get me a medium and say, well, you can wear this when you're thinner. And all of those reasons and all of those things took away my self-esteem as a kid. It made me scared to go to doctors. It made me scared to exist in society. And it also led to a rabbit hole of me thinking that because I was lesser than, because I was openly told how ugly I was too, that any person that comes into my life and shows me any attraction, I should give them whatever they want because I could lose that. So I got myself in a lot of promiscuous situations with people who were older or people that I had no business talking to because of the fat phobia that I experienced, and that was internalized in me growing up. So if anyone has any like recollection of what I shared or what anybody has shared and anything like that, go ahead and feel free to speak.
I'm not tall. I would just like to preface by saying that I'm 5'4". I grew the last 2 inches in high school, like randomly, like junior year of high school. I just grew an extra 2 inches, and I was like, oh, it's a miracle. But I was just taller than everyone at my age. So I was 5'2" in 5th grade, which is extremely tall for children. Because nobody should, it was weird. I was like, why am I this tall? I'm taller than all the guys in my grade. And then later on, they all got much taller than me. But it also played a role in like my ability to weigh the same, because obviously I was growing. And I experienced puberty at a very young age. Like I think 4th grade, I was like starting to develop symptoms, physical characteristics of puberty, etc. And then I got my period for the first time in 5th grade. So I had like a much earlier development than a lot of my peers comparatively. But I was doing the same thing as you. Like I did sports for most of my life. I like sports. Sports are really fun, and it's like the only way I enjoy exercise is if I'm having fun doing the exercise. If I'm just exercising to exercise, I have a really negative reaction, and that's because um when I was younger, again, like I said, I was fat. And I did sports like wrestling, I did sports like volleyball, I did sports like soccer and basketball, etc. Because I enjoyed them. They were really fun for me. But at a certain point, I had a person in my life who encouraged in a very negative way to run every day. And it was to the point where we were running after meals, or before meals, in the city in like really uncomfortable clothing that made me feel uncomfortable. Um, and it was to the point where like I was fearful to like go home every day because I was in so much pain every day when I ran. It made me feel sick. I never felt comfortable. And so nowadays I think what I'm experiencing like is a form of like a trauma response. I like get physically sick at when I run or do anything that's cardiovascular, like exercise, without any incorporation of other activities. Because when I do it just as is, I get too in my head and I start to reminisce about the times where I was extremely depressed. And trigger warning, I was really like suicidal. If you don't want to put that in the podcast, I understand. I was really suicidal at the time, where every time I ran, I was like 12 years old and thinking about jumping in front of a car, because we were running in the streets of downtown San Jose. And it was a really depressing time for me. But even then, even still, when I was considered physically fit, I was still extremely overweight. I was 180 in 6th grade, and that is considered obese for 6th graders, clearly. Um, and I had no way of bringing it down. I was wrestling every day, I was eating healthy, I was running at the time, unfortunately, going backpacking like every couple weekends. And it didn't really matter. Like I was constantly on the verge of just not even like going up, but like I could never come down. I was always there or like brushing past the next level, which was confusing because like I could be putting on all this work and nothing would change. And this is like at the height of my physical activity and like healthy well-being. And then after that, I was like, what the hell is the point? Like, I don't understand why I'd want to put myself through all this trouble, through all this pain, through like what I considered like suffering at the time, because it really messed up my mental well-being. And it was just not fun, like to be at a table with people who can eat whatever the hell they want and I just can't, because if I eat anything that's not in my diet, I'm gonna gain 3 pounds just right then and there. It's bizarre. So I did sports through middle school and into high school, and it was always really interesting because again, like nothing changed. Like I was just consistently growing, consistently overweight, consistently obese. But I had somebody tell me one time when I was like, I just started reminiscing one time about that person who had us run. Um, when I was younger, I dreamed of becoming a gymnast. And they told me, well, you don't see fat people getting up on the beam, jiggling on the beam and doing tricks and shit, do you? And I think at the time I was like 8 or 9 years old. And that was kind of enough to shut me down for everything in life. So I did sports for fun, but never considered them as being anything other than fun because I could never see myself being involved in it long term. So that had pretty severe impacts on my motivation to do anything other than just for like fun and experiences that were like that made me feel good. So it's it's definitely a hard conversation to have when people that you care about and who care about you, you know they care about you, um, are the active proponents of the destruction of your mental well-being and your physical health too. Because I was not, I don't enjoy food, to be honest with you, which makes me sad. Like I can't eat things without thinking, wow, what a fat ass. So yeah, it's tough.
You mentioned the food one. That's one thing that I can definitely like relate to because anytime, honestly, for a long time now, even now, like whenever I eat in like groups of people or social like settings, like going out to dinner with people or just getting the food, my friends always think, am I eating too much? Do they think I look a fat ass if they see me eating, eating this food or from eating something that's seen as unhealthy? It's like, what if they make a comment? Because I've had people comment saying, should you eat that? Or are you sure you want to eat that? So there's always that self-conscious bit of, will people judge me for the food I'm eating? What will they think? Will they say something? Like, talk behind my back about it?
Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to go into this. Rachel, my heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry, baby. Yeah, my heart hurts for you. I hope you know that like what you said really resonated with me. And Shray as well, even Annissa, like you guys, we all have very similar experiences, and I love that we're able to share this in the safe space right now. But I did want to go into like the impacts of fat phobia on mental health and eating, because growing up, like Rachel said, like she wanted to throw herself in front of a car. I used to. It's so bad. Like going back and thinking about how, 10-year-old me was dreaming about getting in an accident so that way I could wake up and miraculously like be skinny, or that things would happen to me so that way I would look desirable. And it's wild that that's what I was thinking at that young of an age, that I wanted to go and put myself in a situation in which I would severely hurt myself because that was better than being fat. And like those aren't thoughts that I ever shared with like anyone, like my mother. Oh my goodness, I would die if I had ever told her that, and I think she would die if I had told her that. But it's like the implications of growing up fat and seeing how you're not desirable, seeing how, like other people are treating you differently, and how, maybe if this just happened, it'd be better. And that's crazy. And then looking at how that affects the way that we eat, like I have disgustingly bad social anxiety, especially with eating in front of people. That's why I don't go and eat food in cafeterias or in places surrounding big people. Like I can't do that anymore. I have become so self-conscious because of the sayings that family members, friends, extended people have said to me whenever I pick up a plate of food. And that has like impacted the way that I can just function in front of people now. Like I go to social functions like parties and I'm consciously thinking of, oh, I can't take too much of a spoonful of this. I can't grab too much of this because then people are going to be like, oh, look at the fat girl going and getting more food. Oh, she's getting more. Yeah, makes sense. Look at her. And it's horrible that I think that way. And I don't think the family members that have said things to me understand the implications of that. Like I will go to parties with my family members and I will have uncles coming up to me being like, oh, that's a lot of food on your plate. ¿Te vas a comer todo? Are you going to eat all of that? Dang, you need to slow down. Maybe like take half of that off and like give it to me. But then their sons will walk by with plates towered with food, bigger than mine. They'll have freaking 20 tacos on one plate. Meanwhile, I have 4. And they're commenting on my weight and my food choices. Meanwhile, they have relatives that are doing worse than I am. But it's different because I'm fat and they're not. And so having those implications and thinking like, well, if I have a close family member that's going to comment about me like that, someone that I've grown up with, that I have grown to trust and that has been there, and they're talking about me like that, what about everyone else that doesn't know me? Everyone else that has no connection to me, how are they going to look at me if I grab this much food? Are they also going to be thinking the same thing? Are they also going to be judging me? Why are they treating me like this when they're the ones who should be supporting me? And it's, yeah.
Thank you so much for everybody being willing to share this information, because these are the conversations that people don't pay attention to, that they don't accept, that they don't want to acknowledge, because who cares about the fat person? That it's just so ingrained, and it's so heartbreaking to hear these things as kids who are just existing. And because it's been brought up, and it's something that if you're comfortable sharing and want to have out there, I'm going to include the stuff that, like, the real part of it. For instance, I self-harmed from ages 9 to 18. For 9 years, I hid that I was hacking at my legs and creating all these scars on my body and hiding them to no one's realization because of how I looked, because I was openly told. My she's not going to listen to this. My godmother, her nickname for me when I was a kid was Bea, because of how I looked. And it's the people that are closest to you that are going to do the most harm to you. And it sucks, because I've also been at family parties where I'm like, I have to be aware of how much I'm grabbing, how much I'm doing. And it used to be funny for my brothers and sisters that who didn't realize what they were doing at the time, when we were like young kids, where they would like take all their, like, they were getting like chicken wings and stuff and then throwing all the bones on my plate, and then having like my grandparents walk around and be like, Annissa, why are you eating so much? And when I had like one. And I'm like, y'all, please stop doing this, because I'm going to get judged later. Something is going to happen. And I like would get in trouble for eating, which is so, like, I have to eat to nourish my body. I have to understand why I am the way that I am. And like be comfortable in that, but I wasn't allowed to at home. So when I got to undergrad, once again going to the conversation of being in situations I shouldn't have been in, all those voices, all those people telling me how ugly I was, how gross I was, how I should do this, I should do that, I should be more active, I should be eating like this, which is usually, and that's a whole other thing with the conversation of doctors recommending food. It's usually very European centric. It's like, have some boiled chicken and some broccoli. Well, listen, I am not, I think we all here identify as people of color as well. We have so much better foods. Like, I'm not going to eat boiled chicken and broccoli and just hate my life. And like, and if that's your preferred diet, that's fine as well. But it's just the fact that it's so Eurocentrically centered, and it's so Eurocentrically centered in medicine and in our appearances, because it was brought up earlier, like even on this campus, everyone looks like a model because they're blonde, thin, and whatever else. But I have done a lot of personal growth from that kid who was 9 years old hacking at her legs to me as a 25-year-old woman. And if you see all the artwork that's behind me, that's actually a picture of above my bed because I didn't want to sit on my bed while I was recording this. But it took me so long for me to just feel comfortable in my body, and now I try to cherish it in different ways. So these are all self-portraits. This one in the corner, if you see them, is my latest one because I just recently had a surgery that was an emergency surgery to have my one of my ovaries removed. And now I have new scars on my body, which even at 25 and someone who has done a lot of growth and like loving myself for who I am and loving my body naked and like getting comfortable in that sort of setting, all of a sudden I had something new that I was looking at, and it was like, and while I was sitting in that hospital, I was waiting for someone to be like, okay, so the reason that you have to have your ovary removed is because you're too fat, or this, or you should be exercising, or you should be doing this. At 25, that's that stuff that was haunting me at 9 years old when I first had valley fever and was hospitalized was still haunting me to this day, even with all the growth that I've made for myself. I was waiting for someone to say, like, well, if you just change your diet, if you do this, and even when having surgery, I was so scared of somebody touching my body in having surgery because I was going to have to be naked on the table for them to have surgery. And I was just like, they're going to be commenting about it. They're going to say this. They're going to be like, she has so many roles here. She has darker skin here from hyperpigmentation. She has this, that, like the other. And I was like putting on a show for everybody that was there, but I was fucking mortified at like how somebody was going to view me and take me back to all that trauma from when I was a kid, because it still exists no matter how much work you do. There's still that mental health aspect of just feeling so insignificant and so minimized for looking a certain way, for appearing a certain way. And it permeates us now, and it permeates us in media, in on college campuses, and everywhere that we see, because our society is so anti-fat.
I'd also like to talk about the fact that they really like to put blame on fat people. Like, I can be working out, I can be eating healthy, and I will still not lose as much weight as a thinner person would. But it's still my fault because I'm not trying hard enough. I'm not doing enough in order to lose weight. And it's just hurtful because I will go out and work out. Like, I used to in high school. I was at practice every day for like 4 hours after school. Like, I was running, I was dancing, I was doing things that kept me active, and it still wasn't enough. Oh, you need to eat less. Okay, so then I eat less. I'm still not losing enough weight. Oh, so then maybe you need to change what you're eating. Well, I can't exactly change what my family's cooking at home. Oh, well, then maybe you should do this. And so it's just like a whole bunch of like barriers that they put up all the time, just one after the other. Well, that's not working. Try this instead. Try this instead. Try this instead. And it's still not working, but they're still not happy with me either. But it's just, it's crazy. It's crazy the fact that they get mad at us for our bodies not working at the same way that their bodies do. And so even taking like workout advice, oh, well, I just go to the gym for like 5 minutes and I do this and that helps. Well, what if I have knee problems? What if I have issues with social anxiety and working out in front of other people? What if I don't like doing all of these other things because my body's not able to do the same things that your body is able to do? And so it's crazy the way that they feel like, or that they blame fat people for being lazy, or you're eating too much, you're not doing enough. But as compared to anyone else, I'm eating the same and or doing the same amount of activity as they are. My body's just not losing it like theirs do.
Yeah, it's really crazy too, because I don't think people realize how disordered eating, how prevalent it is. And I really appreciate you both like referencing eating habits. That's a really difficult. All of us have retros eating habits as well. Thank you, Shray, for mentioning yours as well. But it's interesting because the only time I lost weight at this school was when I was essentially starving myself. Like, I was eating 1 Lunchables for lunch and then 1 like burrito for dinner. And that was all I'd eat the entire day. And I was losing weight that way, but that took several weeks. And then after that, I stopped losing weight. And I never even got that low. Like I got down to 260. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then it stopped. And I was like, oh, I just have to starve myself more. And nothing changed. So like I kept starving myself. I kept like making it so that I wouldn't eat. Trying to get by with just like drinks and food and like ice cream. I used to eat a lot of ice cream. Like I'd eat 1 thing of ice cream and that'd be it for the day. Like that would be all I ate because that was filling and it wasn't like too heavy. So it was just one of those things where it's like, yeah, that was the only time I was losing weight. And so even now, like binge eating, for example, that was a very big thing I did in high school. I never ate during the day. I only ate when I got home, which is hard when you're in sports because you should not be doing that. In fact, I was always on the verge of throwing up or passing out because I wasn't eating. And for those people who are listening who are like thinking like, oh, well, if you're not eating, of course you're not going to lose weight. When I was eating, I wasn't losing weight. When I was eating good, I wasn't losing weight. When I ingest anything, I don't lose weight. When I don't ingest anything, I'm not losing weight. So I think people feel like they know more about losing weight than I do, being who I am. And there's a very different experience when it comes to like, for example, we all grew up fat. I know people who were skinny when they were younger and then got fatter as they got older. And then they lost that weight again. And they're like, yeah, this is just what you have to do. And I'm like, that is awesome for you. You know what? Good for you. You feel healthy. You feel happy. You feel fit. I'm so happy for you that you're able to do the things that you want to do in life. That has never been my experience. Doing the things that you were telling me I should do does not work for me. And just because I am not the physical representation of health and fitness doesn't mean you understand what it is I am and am not doing with my life. So like the prevalence of like disordered eating, for example, is such a pain in the ass because like Kiara said, people tell you get that off your plate, like you don't need it. Or like Annissa said, like people putting things on your plate because like of course you want more, you're eating more than other people. It just further contributes to the level of disordered eating that I personally experience, where like I won't eat anything during the day, like in any capacity. My food intake doesn't start until like well into the afternoon. Like this is the first thing I've eaten today. It's a Pirates meat packet. That's only because I was like, I should probably eat anything in this room. So it's just one of those things where it's like people aren't entitled to comment on you and your health and your fitness if they don't know you. And even if they do know you, knowing what you're going through, they should know better than to comment and be like, oh, you're not doing enough, or oh, you're lazy, or you're blah, blah, blah. That's always the most hurtful is when it comes from people you love telling you that you're not doing enough. Because it's almost as though like they are blind to what you are doing because of the way you look. But yeah. And there are like those people who are like who were fat and then like lost weight. And those are like the success stories. And I'm like, I always aspired to be like that. And Kiara, I so related when you said like, what if I just died and woke up in a skinny person's body? That would be easier. It's because the amount of work it fucking takes for us to get anywhere near that level. If you've always been fat, the amount of work it takes to get too skinny supersedes any level anybody can ever imagine. And I am so happy for people who are able to do it. But I am not at I don't have the mental capacity, the mental health, the physical health to be able to hold that weight of that work, because it's far supersedes what anyone thinks I am capable of, what I even think I'm capable of. So I don't know. I don't think that people should have a say in how I feel comfortable, because at the end of the day, when I am fat and when I'm eating the things that I enjoy, not overeating, not eating unhealthy, just eating things that taste good, make me feel good, like those things I enjoy and live my day-to-day life, improve my mental well-being. And if I don't improve my mental well-being, I'm not going to be here physically to lose that weight. So
Hi everyone, this is Annissa taking a little break from our conversation to let you know on some things that are going to be happening in the near future on campus. I know that this conversation has been a lot for folks. It was a lot for us to film it. So while I'm reading these off, remember to check in with yourself, take a deep breath, get some water. I'm sure you have not been hydrating. Go ahead, take a sip of water, and check out what we got going on in the coming weeks. First up, QPOCA is having general meetings every Thursday from 5:35 p.m. to 6:35 p.m. in the Chappelle Lounge. If you would like to attend any of those meetings, that's when they'll be, or you can check out their Instagram at QPOCA_SCU to find out more information about what is going to be going on in certain meetings. We hope to see you there. Next up, we are finally going to be doing splatter art. Due to some conflicting weather things that had happened last quarter, Queercraft Corner had to move the event, and now we are going to be doing splatter art on Friday, April 14th from 2 to 4 p.m. at the OML House. That is at 832 Market Street, across the street from Swig. Once again, we hope to see you there. Come get some free pizza and throw some paint balloons. It should be a really good time. Another thing that you should look out for is that the Multicultural Center is going to be putting on Global Village again. The theme this year is The Mosaic, a tapestry of cultures. This is going to be going on Sunday, April 16th from 11:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. This is going to be at Santa Clara University at the intersection of the Alameda and Market Street. Once again, hope to see you there. In addition to events, the OML and the RRC would like to let you all know that we are hiring for new student inclusion educators for the 2023-2024 academic year. If you are at all interested in working for our office, please follow the link in the description down below and in your application. And last but certainly not least, do you have any clothing or accessories that you would like to donate? And maybe going to Goodwill or something is a little bit out of your way? Well, go ahead and bring them by the OML and the RRC. You can come and donate clothes on Fridays at the OML house from 2 to 4:30 p.m. That's when I will be there taking an inventory. Or you can come in on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at the RRC from 11:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. I would love to see all your friendly faces coming in and putting in some donated items. This is for an event something that I hope that y'all will be excited about when I finally announce it. Anyway, that has been our ad break. Let's go ahead and get back into the conversation.
No, I want to pop in because I hear what y'all say again. Thanks everyone for sharing, and Anissa, the artwork is amazing. And I love the inspiration too for it. But before I lose my train of thought, is when I know Rachel mentioning things, Kiara was also mentioning about people close to you saying things. It's like when anybody would say anything, especially when people close would say things, it's like when you mention, oh, do more exercise, or oh, eat this, eat that, or eat more, eat less. It's like we've been through this, we've been through the checklist, we've tried this. If it worked, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. You wouldn't be saying these things. It's like the act like we haven't tried. It's like we have been trying. We've been putting in so much effort into trying to lose weight, to have a more ideal body. It's like we have been putting a lot of effort. It's we've been trying. If not just been sitting around and not been doing anything. We've been putting a lot of effort. And another thing too is when I think all of y'all mentioned how people close to you would say things or do things about people close to you would say these harmful things. Again, I've had similar stories, and for me, my biggest thing is when people like my parents or like my close friends would say things about, oh, like, oh, you should like exercise more, maybe eat less, eat more of these healthier foods. It's like, or would sometimes say like tease me and reality say things that were really harmful, or point out my weight in public or an outfit saying, oh, that really doesn't look good on you, or oh, you look so big in this outfit. When people would say things like that, it's like people close to me were saying those things. It's like, it's very harmful. It's also one thing I've tried to communicate, but the message doesn't go through, is that just because you are close to me does not mean you can say these things. It doesn't mean you can say these things that are honestly rude. Like, would you say those kinds of things to anyone else you knew? Probably not. So why do you think it's all right to say it just because you're close to me? And I understand that you could be trying to come in some cases from like a point of view or point of concern or for your well-being. But it's like you also have to realize sometimes sometimes the messaging from people like my parents or a close friend was just rude. It's like you shouldn't have said that in the first place. It's like it would have been rude to say this to a stranger, and it's still rude to say it to someone that's really close to you.
Thank you so much, Shray, for adding that. And something that I was just reminded of while hearing you speak and hearing everything else, and something I was going to talk about earlier, um, is with me doing a lot of progress to try to be comfortable with my body, because at this point, it's not changing. I have done everything that I can. I have starved myself. I have exercised day in and day out. I have, like in high school, I used to get up for at 4 a.m. to go to water polo practice at 5 a.m., do 8 hours of school, and then immediately also have practice afterwards at this for the same rate, going home at like 7 p.m., eating something random, or like if my mom had cooked that day, like grabbing something or whatever was available to be on my plate, and then immediately doing homework and then not sleeping because I have horrible insomnia, and then getting up and doing the same thing over and over again. No matter what I did, it wasn't going to change. So I, through a lot of talking with either therapists or friends or other people who are fat, and just like, and watching people like in this, I remember telling my therapist at one point how in love I was with Lizzo, because that was the first time in my life where I saw someone be openly and like just beautiful with who they are inside and out, and be comfortable in it. And I was like, I'm 24 years old, I'm an adult, I'm not. And they're like, and they stopped and go, why is that insignificant to you? You have somebody now. And I'm glad that little kids can look up and like see someone who is comfortable in their body and just exist as they are. But it was something that I grew up without. And so I recognize that that like sort of thing is important. And something about me, which is not a great characteristic, but I will live to be petty sometimes. And by that I mean, there was a specific example. I lived with a girl uh in undergrad who uh had horrible internalized fat phobia. Her siblings, everybody like around her was fat, and she was thin. She had like, and but she would constantly talk about how she was getting fat, how she was doing this, she was doing that. She would just talk, constantly degrade herself in a way that was degrading for me to witness her doing it, because that was so negative. And I remember one day we're sitting in our apartment, sitting on the couch watching TV with her, and I am wearing a crop top and jeans, and she randomly just goes, I hate when fat bitches wear crop tops. And I just look over and I go, what? She was like, yeah, they never look good. I don't know why people do that. You shouldn't be wearing that if you're fat. And I'm like, she wasn't looking at me, but I was like, you realize I'm right here wearing a crop top. And me being someone who is like currently working at their self at the time, and also still forever working on myself, I was like, okay, let's see. I'm gonna wear a crop top for in a year and a half, every single day, no matter what the weather is. And then just exist and be able to be comfortable with myself. That was actually the same night that I painted this painting here, which if you're not in video or you're listening auditorily, uh, it is a canvas with like a sky background, and it's my body without a head because I'm just bad at painting faces. And just like showing my body in a nude portrait, because I was just like, this is what beauty is. I see beauty in myself, and then telling myself that repeatedly. But then I took it a step forward and everything, and I was like, I'm going to stop dressing for somebody who should be covering up themselves. Because I was told forever, and anytime that someone got me clothes, it was like basically they wanted to put me in a smock to cover up all the rolls and things. And now I don't always do it, because sometimes I get in depressive moods and I'm just not interested in getting dressed and things like that, which is derivative from trauma and all kinds of different stuff, including internalized fat phobia. But I dress my body how I wish, and not for the comfort of somebody else. I think, and I would never say this, like even like 2 years ago, I think I am incredibly beautiful. I find myself very attractive. I look in the mirror and I'm like, damn, I look good. I say in like the form of exercise that I do the most now, other than swimming, is dancing in my mirror because that's where I feel. I throw on Lizzo or whatever other artist has. Just last night, for instance, after I finish my class and I'm done with everything, I turned on Gasolina and just started fucking twerking in my apartment with music in. So then no one knew what was happening. I was just dancing alone in my apartment with my cat. But like, it's just that sense of I feel comfortable in myself. I feel good about myself in this moment. And I got to cherish that moment that I have. Because me at 15 and me at 25, 15-year-old wanted to kill herself, wanted to die. 25-year-old me still is struggling with mental health. But now I feel a lot better and a lot more whole in the person that I am and a lot more comfortable with how I view myself, not worrying about how other people view me. But progress is never linear, and I still have really bad days, and like the hospital incident where I still feel very, very low, but I'm always working to get better and to feel more comfortable in myself.
I really love that. Thank you, Annissa, for sharing. That's so important, especially the growth that you have, like mentally about yourself and like self-awareness and self confidence. That's really important. And I've kind of gotten a lot closer to that recently. I do think that like I still wear this mask around my neck just because it hides the rolls and it makes me feel better. I know that that's a matter of insecurity. I'm still working on it, but 90% of the time I just wear it anyway. Um, but I do think you mentioned something earlier that I thought was really important, like the love that we are deserving of, despite because we are fat, like being able to like just receive and accept anything that and everything that people throw at us simply because like we are undeserving of other forms of love. Um, when I was in high school, I didn't recognize it at the time, but I recognized it after talking about it with somebody. But I was kind of frequently harassed. Um, and I think that was because I was conventionally unattractive, compared to other students at my school. In fact, I think I was like one of like a few, like two or three other fat people at the school. Um, or at the very least identified fat people, like they said that they were identified as fat. But one of the things that I realized was that I would constantly be told like, "Oh, Rachel, you're beautiful," or "Oh, you, we should go out," blah 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 blah. Rachel, I have a crush on you, like that kind of thing. And it was the perspective that I'm a joke, and like the idea of liking me is a joke. That's funny. That's crazy. To compliment me is like ridiculous. That's so humorous. Um, at one point or another, I remember like I was in the van with another person from a different class, and they repeated one of the things that they said frequently, which is just to say my name and then laugh. And so like they said that they're like, yeah, we hear that in our class too. And I'm like, what the fuck? It was a it was a sobering realization that I will never be seen as anything more than a joke in a society that doesn't accept my presence. Um, and I'm like, you know what? That really sucks. And I didn't realize how much that had actively affected me until I got out of high school into college, where somebody asked me like how I would even react if somebody confessed me. And I said I'd probably ask them if they were joking, or I'd probably just ignore them and walk away. And they were like, that's really fucked up of you to do. And I was like, well, I don't see a reality where that ever happens. And I don't see it's always been a joke. So I can't envision myself ever being in a relationship with somebody that isn't instigated by myself. Um, for that very reason, because I'd always have that self-conscious idea that like, oh, this was done on a dare, or oh, this was done as a joke. Um, that I had somebody ask me for my number, and it was part of the scavenger hunt. And I was like, okay, I really don't like this. And it's shit like that where I'm only ever seen as a potential interest, um, in a fake reality, in a humorous funny way. So I don't really like that. It's not funny. I don't think people should do it. And I think that's a very clear example of fat phobia, when the only time you comment on somebody's attractiveness is as a joke. But yeah.
I just want to say too, like when people do that, it's like for y'all, that was just a little harmless joke, or random like Thursday in like sophomore year of high school. For us, that's something we're going to carry as baggage for years, for who knows how long. And it's like this is something that we're going to internalize. This is something we're going to work through for years. And again, it's like I remember when people do the same thing like that in like middle school, high school. It's like I still remember when they would do things like that. Like how many years has it been? I don't know. It's a long time since that. It's like we still remember the things that you were saying, the things that you were saying behind your backs, what you thought was just a joke. That was not a joke for us. That really added to our emotional baggage and things we have to work through just because you wanted to make a little joke for yourself.
Yeah, and I wanted to go into like validation and how that affects, like, especially growing up. At least for me, like growing up as a BIPOC, like fat woman, wanting that validation from men and from other people to know that I'm attractive, to know that I look good, to know that I can still be worthy of love, but I'm not getting that for myself. So maybe someone else will give that to me. And like the way that like Rachel said, like growing up, I had boys coming up to me being like, "Oh, do you want to go out? Please say no, please say no, please say no. My friends dared me to," you know? And it's like growing up like that and seeing how I was treated as compared to my friends who are skinnier, who are conventionally attractive, who are getting asked out on dates, who are finding boyfriends really easily in high school, or getting crushes and doing all these little things. Meanwhile, I have maintained this like status of like single throughout my life as a result of like my indesirability. Yeah, like the just need to put yourself out there more, such bullshit, because I put myself out there. I put myself out there. But it's the reactions that I get from other people compared to like conventionally attractive people's. Like people would rather have someone else over me because they're not going to get judged by being with the fat girl if they go with that other person. And I've had experiences where I have been talking to people. I have been like getting into those serious conversations and then them backing off, deliberately saying like, "Oh, like my friends will judge me if I go out with you because you're fat and I don't want them to make fun of me. Oh, like I don't want to get close to you because making up excuses because they don't want to be seen in public with me." Like I'm okay for nighttime hand holding, for going out, for doing little things, but not for serious committed relationship, not for the public eye, not to be taken out and shown that I'm worthy of love. And so it's such bullshit. It's such bullshit. And realizing like the reason why I'm not like receiving this sort of love is because people are ashamed of me. And so me having to relearn and be like, I'm not shameful. I'm a person deserving of love. I don't need to be looking like this in order to have someone love me. And if other people who look like me, who are fat, can receive that love and adoration, I deserve it too. And so it's so hard, especially trying to find that sort of validation for yourself, because it chips away at you, knowing that other people are looking at you in a way that you're trying to steer yourself away from. And it's just, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And to elaborate on that point, and then something that I kind of brought up earlier in the validation aspect of like not feeling good enough or not being enough. In middle school, high school, like and including elementary school, I also received the, "Oh, just tell us you like her because it's funny. Go tell her because like it's funny to make the fat girl like you." And just going from that to such like, "You're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're this, you're lesser than, you're not important," and then coming into college where, and this was the first time that I was like, "Oh, dating apps, those exist. I'm gonna get on Tinder." And then saying yes to literally anybody that perceived me as attractive. even if I was visibly uncomfortable, I would say yes to sex with people. I would be coerced because I was like, well, nobody else is going to find me attractive. Nobody else is going to do this. So I better do it now. Otherwise, nobody's ever going to have any sort of feelings for me like that at all. And that's like sort of the thing where, Kiara, you were talking about like, I can do nighttime hand holding, can do this, but I can't have a relationship with you. In my experience, in a lot of people's experiences, who are like sexually active and things like that, people will fuck the fat person, but no one will date the fat person. Especially, and this was at this time, it was before I had come out, it was before I came into my own identity as pansexual. So, and just such internalized hatred, internalized homophobia, internalized racism. I specifically dated Republican white men because either I wanted to change them or I just hated that myself that much to where I was like, this is all I deserve. I deserve to be ridiculed and hated for being gay, for being mixed, for being whatever. So then I suffered through white men being like, oh, my spicy Latino girlfriend, or like not girlfriend, like my situationship or whatever, because I was never referred to as the girlfriend. I was just the person that they would hook up with in the middle of the night or be like texting in the middle of the night and then being told how much they did not want to physically be with me. They did not want people to be seen with me. They did not want to go on a date. They just wanted to hook up. And in my mind at the time, I was just like, and maybe that's enough because it's some sort of validation. It's someone telling me that even if they don't want to date me, I'm attractive in some sort of way. I can be, and then I would romanticize relationships thinking that, oh, he was the most romantic person ever. No, he sucked. He was racist, he was homophobic, he sucked. And now like coming out of that realization and now having been out I came out during the pandemic. So it was an entire year of working on myself and like just being with myself before I started like branching out to start date again. And I still am getting that sort of things where I have officially, though I'm pan and like anybody is game at this point, I specifically do not put men on any of my, like on Hinge, on Tinder, on things like that. I actually just stopped using Tinder altogether. But on those things, I no longer include men because of the trauma that I have, and also because that was all I was being shown. And now I'm finding that even when I put non-binary or female identified individuals, I'm still worrying about if they if they want to date me or if they find me attractive because I'm fat or things like that. It still permeates me in so many different ways because just fatness, even in a queer identity, is seen as lesser than. And it's ridiculous. Like, and so then you go into like, there's a lot of different ways that I can go about this, but it comes to mind like for men or people that use Grindr, being worried about how they appear because they're not going to be seen as attractive enough, or people who are going through transition who are gaining weight in places because of taking estrogen or something else, gaining weight and not looking like the ideal body that they want and still suffering through the body dysmorphia and that gender dysphoria because it's not growing in the right places or things like that. So just like those, there's so many examples of where fatness intersects with other identities and it changes your perception and how you view yourself and how you think other people view you. I don't know if I put that in the best way, but it's something that's coming to mind as we continue to have these conversations.
Yeah, I wanted to speak on what you were saying about not feeling validated in your own queer identity, especially with being fat. And something that I realized that I was non-binary over quarantine. I knew I was queer before then, but I like to talk about this a lot, but I feel that my identity, especially with being non-binary, has resulted from this invalidation of femininity as a result of my fat phobia. That people have always been commenting on my weight, telling me I need to lose weight, you're not skinny enough, you're not pretty enough, you don't look like a woman enough. You know, like, yes, I look like a woman, but I'm not the stereotypical small, like skinny, quiet, subservient, whatever. Like I'm the opposite, but still feeling invalidated because I'm not fitting into that role. And so I tried to hyper feminize myself, especially in high school, makeup, over girly clothes, trying to make myself look desirable to everyone else and prove that I was feminine, that I can look like a woman. I do look like I am female, and realizing that why did I feel the need to come off this way? Because I have received so many comments about my body telling me like, oh, you're too tall, oh, you're too fat, oh, you don't look like this. Maybe if you lost a couple pounds, you'd be prettier. And then seeing how that affected my gender identity, because I never felt validated within my femininity, that I have started identifying as non-binary. Because I realized that I'm more comfortable being like neither gender, that like I can't even, yeah, like, sorry, I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say, but but it's just basically like that invalidation that I've had growing up with people commenting, making comments, and just saying things that has affected the way that I now view myself. And not that I'm blaming them for making me non-binary. I feel like I would have gotten there anyhow, but seeing the way that my weight has severely impacted the way that I feel connected to femininity, because being fat or being tall or things are seen as more masculine traits. And so how that pushed me into this like non-binary role. But yeah.
And also, again, everyone, thanks for, sharing all these things. And when we talk about, the fat phobia and queer identities, as a gay man, as someone who identifies as a gay man, one big one among one big thing in gay culture is definitely fat phobia, because it's definitely emphasized that, like, oh, as a grooming gay man, you have to be, muscular, you have to be slim. You can't be the fat one. It's always seen as undesirable, or, oh, you're not gonna get in a relationship, or, oh, like, gay bars and gay clubs, these areas where, these areas that are like big parts of the community, you shouldn't really go there. You really don't like belong there. There's always a message that's put out. And even now in the representation we're seeing among gay relationships, it's always a muscular gay man or slim ones. It's never anyone who is who's fat or identifies as fat. It's like it's always muscular, so that's the message that's pushed out everywhere, even on dating apps, um like a lot on the gay dating apps. It's like on Grindr, it's like, what's pushed is, oh, you should be slim, you should be muscular, or otherwise why are you even on here? Like, no one's gonna want to get with you. Like, that's the message that is constantly pushed. It's like, so now that I finally accepted part of myself, and I want to, work on that, but now I can't, because the community that's supposed to be accepting, or the community that's supposed to be inclusive of me is not. It's they're like, oh yeah, you're gay, but you're not muscular, you're not slim. Do we really want you in our spaces? Do we want to be associated with you? Again, if getting into a relationship, it's like, do I want to make this a serious one, or is it going to be a situationship? Is this going to be, something that's not serious because, oh, you don't fit what I want, or, oh, what people think I should have? Like, oh, they want someone who's other people, when they'll think of like being with me, they'll probably think, oh, I want someone who's slimmer, I want someone who's more muscular. That's a very pervasive thought. And we can also go into a whole topic about like body dysmorphia and all of that in the gay community, and even just among myself. But it's like there's a lot to unpack when it comes to if you're fat in the gay community, especially when we want people who are slim, we want people who are muscular, not anything else.
Yeah, and on that note, I have an interest in muscular people personally, just because I think they are very attractive. But not because they're muscular, but because I like when people's personalities shine through and they're still strong. But you don't have to be muscular to do that, which is why I'm like, get this through people's heads. You don't have to be like, I don't know, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer was really the wrong person that I was thinking of. What's the person? Johnny Cash? Yeah, Johnny Bravo? You don't have to be uber muscular to be like strong. or anything like that. And even then, like, you don't have to be muscular to be attractive. And it's hard for people to understand that perspective. And in the queer community specifically, like, I personally identify as asexual. And being fat, that is a hard thing to try to come across, because what ended up happening was I got a lot of commentary about, are you actually asexual, or is it just that because you have low self-confidence? And I'm like, this is a good question because I do have low self-confidence. So you're right on that track. But also, no. Like, I don't want to fuck anybody. Because I realized also on dating apps that people are horny motherfuckers. Like, they'll fuck a wall if they can. In fact, they have. I've seen the transcripts. But I'm like, I don't want to fuck anybody. The second I put asexual in my profile, I was no longer even an option for anybody. Because as like a fat person, like you all said previously, I'm fuckable but not dateable. And I'm like, okay, so once the sex exits the conversation, it's like, okay, there is no conversation. And I'm like, oh, interesting, good to know. And so I got off dating apps pretty quick because I was like, oh, this is not gonna work. Um, but yeah, even being like interested in women, it's kind of weird because I am not masc, and I think that's the expectation for a lot of fat people, is that they're going to be masc. And I cannot see myself as being masked. I'm angry frequently. Actually, no, I rarely get angry. But I can't ever position myself in a way that's like serious. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's kind of the stereotype about mass presenting individuals. Um, and I tend to enjoy more feminine dress, etc. But yeah, so I kind of have to deal with like that constant reckoning of, am I just self-conscious, or am I my own identity? Um, I got accused of being bi. Well, I am bi romantic, but I got accused of being bi simply because I needed to expand my options. And I was like, what does that mean? And I was like, oh God. They're like, yeah, this essentially implying that like, yeah, men won't date you, so you want to see if women will. And I'm like, first of all, not just women, because there's a lot of people, a lot of genders that I'm like, ooh, you are very attractive. But second of all, what made you think that you had any, where did you find the audacity? Like, are you? Fascinating stuff. But yeah.
No, yeah. And I also, when I was coming out as pan and then also explaining what pan was to a lot of people and a lot of family members specifically, I remember one person being like, oh, is it because you're insecure that you're just like opening the pool to anybody? Because also none of my family has ever seen me in a relationship. One, because I've never been in one. And even the ones that I was, I hated him. I just didn't want to be with him, but that was just like in my own mental state, being like, this is what I deserve. This is all I deserve. And so I'm like, I'm not going to introduce you to people that I don't like. And yes, I'm dating them, but like, that's a whole other story. But yeah, that just existence of like, um, being someone who is attracted to multiple genders, whether it's sexually or romantically, you're just assumed that because you're in a fat body, that it's because you're fat. You're like, oh, you're just so deeply insecure that you need to expand your options. Like, no, I'm just gay. It's just another aspect of who I am, as well as like anything else. But yeah, so I really, really resonated with that, Rachel. And now I am noticing just how much time we've been spending talking about this, which we can talk about this forever. And if y'all are comfortable, we can come back, maybe do a part two, or maybe talk about how we can have this conversation in other places. But before we go, I want to just ask if anybody has anything else they would like to share before we begin to wrap up. Because like I said, we can talk about this forever. But if there's any last things that anyone wants to bring in before we start to close.
Yeah, that health is not visible on the physical form. Like, that's just like, you can be physically fit. That doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy. Um, So just keep that in mind. Like, this is for all the listeners, but like, the way you look is not emblematic of what it is that you are doing to keep yourself healthy, and whether that be physically or emotionally or mentally. So, well, I can't say don't worry about the way you look because people will judge. Um, it nonetheless does not look, it does not mean that you are not healthy and not doing what you can and need to do for your body.
No, definitely, it's a very big point. And again, I feel like my doctor needs to hear this. Ultimately, to hear this is just because you are overweight or fat doesn't mean you are extremely unhealthy. Doesn't mean you're going to die because of heart disease the next day. Just like like, just because you were fat doesn't mean you're not healthy. That's a big thing that a lot of people need to hear. Like you can be, overweight and fat and still be overall be very healthy, not have any health issues. Like blood tests will come up fine. It'll say you're fine. Like that's something that a lot of people need to hear, especially doctors.
Yeah, and I just want to like for the listeners out there, I'm sure if you're listening, then it's probably because you resonate with this. And if you're listening to this purely out of curiosity, if you have no connection to this at all, to take away from this that this is not like we were not complaining the entire time. This was not just for us to like bitch about things that were going on, and it was solely just to spread information that we have experienced and that other fat people will also experience in their daily lives, and to open your eyes about what goes on in this world, because it's really easy not to acknowledge what other people are experiencing and to ignore how fat people are living, because we do not make up a majority of the world, like, and it's like things do not cater to us, especially in this world. And so like it's really easy to forget how we can feel in these instances, but just to remember that like we are humans too. Like we are here because this has significantly affected us for all of our lives, and we want to make sure that other people are understanding this and that we're drawing attention to this, because this treatment is not okay. But yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much for being a part of this conversation and for wrapping it with like call to action for like what people can do to one, listen to this conversation, because it was a good one and it was full of personal experiences, yes, but that doesn't invalidate the reality of the situation and how we exist on a day-to-day. So open your mind, get informed, get educated. And if you are someone who does identify as a fat person and are listening, part of what I'm going to be doing below, because I briefly talked about media and talked about I don't think I actually got into clothing. I don't think we got into this time. Maybe we'll have another episode, or maybe we'll do something else with this topic, because it needs to be talked about more. But I'm going to be leaving links to plus size friendly clothing stores. They're all based online. Majority of them are thrift or resale things, so that you can find more information. I was trying so hard to find things that are in the Bay Area, but guess what? Can't, or at least not yet. And so if I do, I will also link those. But I did make sure that all of them that are available have a online presence, as well as a brick and mortar place that you can shop depending on where you're from and where in the area you can. But yeah, once again, thank you everybody for being a part of this conversation and for being so vulnerable. I really, really deeply value the vulnerability that was shared today, and how safe of a space this podcast continues to be for people. Thank you all so much for listening. Oh wait, before we do that, does anybody have anything that they would like to promote? I know this episode is not going to be coming out till spring, and we're recording it during finals week of winter. But is there anything that any resources, places for people to go, maybe clubs or things like that, anything that y'all want to promote?
QPOCA, come to the Queer People of Color Association. We have meetings every Thursday, 5:35 to 6:35. It is a very safe space. Highly recommend going. I will not be there next quarter because I will be abroad, but I nonetheless hope that people find a welcoming space and just people to have fun with. It is a really nice place to go to for those who understand the difficulties of the intersections of being a queer person of color. So highly recommend. And yeah.
I think there is a body positivity like group on campus with CAPS. If you find yourself struggling with mental health, especially concerning your body dysmorphia, things like that, that is available. And then we used to have a body positivity club on campus. I don't know if that's still running, but I know their Instagram is up. And then just like looking for inspiration on social media. That's how I really help myself. If you have to go to Lizzo, you have to find other influencers, people that look more like you. Do it because it helps.
All right. Thank you both so much for sharing that. And we will make sure to include links and stuff like that below for Instagram pages. And then if I find any more resources or any more information, I will definitely link it in the things below. As far as the Office for Multicultural Learning or the Rainbow Resource Center, all I'm going to say is just be on the lookout for certain stuff. Oh, also, affirmations, we can add that to the end of the video or also in the resources as well. So thank you, Kiara, for that. But yeah, look out for what we're going to be doing in spring. I have big ideas. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do them, but I have some really big stuff planned and some really good things, as well as my coworkers have a lot of things planned in the future. So thank you again. This has been Word on the Street and OML and RRC Podcast. Thanks for listening, y'all. Bye.